box. I have a box here, right? We call it as a CPU. So when I go ahead and say that the CPU, it is nothing but a box which has many things in it. What are they? I can go ahead and say that I have SMPS, motherboard, processor, RAM, and hard disk. Now on top of this box, I have gone ahead and installed a product of VMware's, which is nothing but ESXi. ESXi is what I've installed. So when I've installed the ESXi, now this ESXi box is being connected with a switch. It's been connected with a switch, and this switch is being connected with my laptop right now. The laptop which I'm accessing right now on top of it. So this is my laptop from which I'm just working. So when I say that I'm working on this particular laptop, this laptop also has an IP. I would say that it is running a Windows 8 operating system, and it has an IP of 10.0.0.200. Now this is in class A network, and then it is in class A network IP is what I have. And this box has an IP of 10.0.55.1, which is again a class A IP. All right, class A network IP. Now this box, I can go and access it from here. How would I go ahead and access it? I will go ahead and basically use the Vsphere client software, using which I'm going to give the IP of 10.0.55.1, and I'm giving the username of root and then password. Now when I go ahead and give the username and password, it allows me to log in. Then I will be able to go ahead and create lots of virtual machines on this. Here we go. So I have taken one, and then I've just got one ESXi box right now. This is a brand new box. I don't have any any VMs created, and you could find I've just installed the 60 days trial, and then it gives me 60 days trial. For the first 60 days, it's completely free. Okay, I did not put license key for it yet, so that's why I'm showing you. So I have a ESXi box where I can go and create virtual machines. Every single time when I create a virtual machine, assume that I'm creating a virtual machine right now. Just going in and creating a virtual machine, maybe custom I'm giving, and then I'm saying a test VM, and then I'm saying next, another 32-bit, and I'm creating a VM with a hard drive in provisioning near about 8 MB. Just for namesake we're creating, right? So I'm not going to install anything. So if you could see a VM here like this, I can go and create 4096 virtual machines, which means this box has a potential to hold near about 4096 virtual machines. 4096 VMs I can go and create on this box. Now how many boxes are there? There's one box for me. Now here, when I have a box, I can go and create a virtual machine, right? That's what I did right now. Now when I'm trying to create a virtual machine, what happens in the sense, this particular box, whatever the virtual machine you create, every single virtual machine will get created, or it will get stored in a place called data store, which is there inside the ESXi itself. That means little storage area. See, there will be a folder called test. With that name, it has got created. Now there is one box which I have right now. Right? Now what if I have another box? What if I have another box like this? There is another box. I would like to use it. So here I have another box. That box is also connected with the same switch, but this box has a different IP. I would say this has IP of 10.0.55.2. Now let's go ahead and check it out. I'm going ahead and taking Vsphere client, and this I'm mentioning as 2, and then I'm saying root and then password. Here we go. It allows me to log in. Here we have a virtual machine, right? No, this is also a brand new box. I don't have any VMs as such. I'm going to create a VM here too, with the name called new virtual machine, and then custom, and says next, and I'm going to make it as exam. Okay, when we have test, the next will be exam, right? So I'm going ahead and saying exam, and creating a virtual machine similar to it. Maybe this time I'm saying 32. That's okay. Everything is fine. But hard drive, I'm going to go and give it as 16, that is double the time of it. MB, I'm not using GB because it would be, so I'm saying next. So here I have a VM which is named as 16, sorry, which is named as exam. And here also I can have near about 4096 virtual machines. Now I'm not going to go ahead and stop here. So we are going to go and have another virtual. Then I have another box. And here we have created a VM with the name called what in the sense as exam. Now I have another box. And happily I'm going in and connecting the third box also with the same switch. Here we go. Now there are three boxes, right? Here also I'm going to go and create a virtual machine. I'm going crazy. I'm not going to stop, right? So I'm going to go and create a virtual machine. So 1, 2, 3 virtual machines are there, right? On different boxes. But this guy's IP is also near about same. I would say 10.0.55.3, right? And this is the IP of it. So let's go and then go over and see that this is my third virtual machine. Root and password. This is my third ESXi host. It is not reachable for some reason. One minute. I don't know why it is not.
Okay.
Kindly bear with me. Just give me 1 minute. Okay. So here, if you go ahead and see that we have three boxes and then three of them are running with one VMs, right? So we haven't taken the third box yet, and then we did not create a VM, which we will be doing down the line. So what we can do here in the sense, if you want to access three boxes and which have, one VMs on each of the box, how would you handle it? How you will go and manage it? That's what we're going to see here. So as of now, if you go over and see that we are going to go over it and have a virtual machine, and that's going to be on each of the box like the way you see here. Show you.
Two of 9 are ultimate Iran on cities, and today we're going for a full-on adventure to Turin's Grand Bazaar.
Here we go. Super. So now I'm going to take the third box right now in control. So let me go ahead and check whether the third box is accessible from my computer or not. So I'm going ahead and saying 3, and that should respond to me in a minute or two. It says request timeout. All right, so once again I says, yep, it's up. So let's go ahead and say that I am taking the Vsphere client once again, and I'm taking the third host, and I'm saying root and then password. Now there are 3 hosts with us, right? So as I am showing you here, from my laptop, I'm handling 3 different physical machines which are being installed with the ESXi, and the IP what we have kept is 0.55.1, and then 55.2, and then 55.3 like that. So the third box does not have any virtual machine. So we are going to go and create a virtual machine here as well, and says custom, and then says next, and I'm naming it as check. And I'm saying go ahead, create a virtual machine for me. It's again other 32-bit, and I'm going to have a disk of near about 24 MB for it. And I says next, and then finish. Now I have virtual machine which is a check in the third place. You could find it here. So here it has test, and this was named as exam, and this was named as check. Right, there are 3 virtual machines, but if you want to go ahead and manage all the 3, that means all the 3 boxes, right? So if you want to manage all the 3 boxes, how you can manage in the sense, I'll show you how well you can go and access it. I can go and right click, and I can go and say show me side by side. So I could find 3, 55.3, 55.2, and then 55.1, like the 3 boxes. Or in another case, I can go ahead and say show me like this. How? Show it in stack 2, 3, and then 1, like that it will show. But I will not be able to go ahead and see. Maybe I can go ahead and say cascade 1, 3, 2, like that you can see back to back. But remember, you will not be able to go ahead and see all at once in one screen. Though they are in the same screen, it is not kind of, I would say it is not kind of accessible in that way, which means each of them are individual. However, you're seeing everything in one screen. That's it. Now, if you want to go and unite all these boxes, so you will go and close it. I'm going and closing all the 3 boxes, and I'm bringing in a new person who is no one else than called as a Vcenter Server. What is a Vcenter Server? Vcenter Server is also a box like this. However, instead of the ESXi inside it, we will have installed something called a Vcenter Server. I would say it's called as Vcenter. We will have a Vcenter box, right? Now, when I say I have a Vcenter server, that box is also going to get connected with the same switch. Now, when this box is connected with this, now what happens? This guy is also going to get an IP, like the way these guys have. So here I have given IP for this guy, which is 10.0.55.50 like that. Now let's go ahead and take him. I'm going to go ahead and take the same Vsphere client, and I'm going to go ahead and say 55.50. I'm giving the root and password. Now my Vcenter server is coming up. So this we will call it as a a common management console like that. This is not a ESXi, it says localhost, and it is a Vcenter server. So here, when I come in, what I should do is I should create a data store. Need to kindly, place yourself on mute so that others will not get disturbed, right? So here, what are we doing in the sense? We have created a Vcenter server and we have a Vcenter server, but there is no chance to add a ESXi host here unless until I create a new data center, which means I have to go and create a data center. I'll remove it and I'll show you once again. I have to create a data center, only then I'll be able to go ahead and bring in the virtual machine. So this particular data center is called as a DCV, data center virtualization. So I create a data center by clicking on this, and I can go and name it as Chennai DC. So it's a Chennai data center. Now inside this, I can go and say I want to add a host. So I says 10.0.55.1 root, and I'm giving the password of that particular host. So the host will automatically come here. You could have seen that there is a VM inside it called the test, and which is coming here. It's coming here, right? The host is getting added. But remember, if I go ahead and take the second host or third host or nothing I could do, what nothing I could do, if I go ahead and take the host number 3, let's say that I'm taking the host number 3 and says root and password. I'm logging in. You know for sure that there is a VM inside it, which is called as the check. On the third host, we created a VM, which is named as check like that, right? Yes, here is the VM called check. But unfortunately, if I right click on the check VM, I will find only power, guest, snapshot, open console, edit settings, upgrade hardware, add permission, report performance, rename, open new window, and then you will not you will have remove from inventory, delete from disk like that. This is my host, that is my ESXi box when I'm taking it separately. But you see here on the Vcenter, we have added a host, right? This is our third host, so I'm going to go and close it right now, and I'm going in and showing you this is our Vcenter. When I right click on this, I could find the VM. When I right click, I could find many options, and there is an option called migrate. Right now, I cannot migrate this because there is only one box here. So I'm going to go and add another box here by telling add host 10.0.55.2 and then root and password. Now you would have seen the VM name called exam like that, right? The second host is going to come here. Yep, the second host has come, and I could find the VM here. Right now, if I go and try bringing the third host by telling add, and then says 10.0.55.3, and then I says root, and then password. I'm giving the password. Now all the 3 boxes here, you could find the check VM. I've added the host number 3 as well. So I have host number 1, host number 2, and the third host is getting added here. Right now comes the concept. There is a concept in VMware which they call it as Vmotion. What is Vmotion? Migrating a VM from one box to another box is called as Vmotion. If I want to migrate the test from here to another box, is called as Vmotion. Any questions? So here, if you go ahead and see that if I want to go ahead and migrate the first VM, which is test, to my second host, I can go ahead and do it. How can I perform it? Right click on it, which means test. I right click on it and I say migrate. And where do you want to migrate? I want to migrate the VM from the first host to the second. So I say change both host and data store. The host is nothing but from one host to another host. The data store is nothing but the place where the VM is residing right now. I'm talking about a place called here is a data store 1. This is where the VM is living right now. How could I find? If I click on the VM and if I click on the summary, it will show me where the VM is living. Data store 1. Okay, so with that, see, you are unmuting and then it is distracting others because the background noise of yours is like pathetic. So ensure that you are on mute. I muted you many times, but you are keep on unmuting. I don't know why. If you have any questions, you can put it on the chat box, please. Right, so here I have the test VM, and if I want to go ahead and say that I want to migrate to the second host, I can do it. Now, here you could find the first host has a data store called data store 1, and it is there in the name called, the VMS test. And if I browse and see, I'll be able to see the folder name called test. Now, if I go to my second host, that will also have a data store 1 bracket 1 like that. And if I go and open it and see browse data store, I'll be able to see the exact. So now I'm going to say the first host has a VM called test. I want to right click and then I want to say migrate. So when I say migrate, the VM can go ahead and get migrated from one host to another host. That's called as change host and data store. So I'm saying next, and then I can go ahead and say change it to the second host. It says validation succeeded and says next. And then you could find move, finish. Now the VM will jump from the first host to second host immediately. Why should I migrate a VM? What is the reason for it? In case if I'm going to down this host 10.0.55.1, I'm going to do some memory upgradation, or I'm going to go and replace the hard drive, or I'm going to go and replace the motherboard or microprocessor, or I'm down the box. I'm going down the box for my own reasons. But so I want to move the VMs which are there, which is running inside it. I can go ahead and do something called migration. So what I did right now is called as moving the VM from one host to another host is called as Vmotion, according to the company called Vmware. So Vmware has a typical name for this, which they call as Vmotion. At the same time, when you go ahead and see here, as you see here, you can go ahead and migrate the VM from one host to another host. I can go ahead and say I want to resend it back to the first host itself. I want to send it to the first host. I can easily say move back to the first host. Now, if we see that when I right click and then I say migrate, why am I unable to do change host? When I say change host, I can't do it. Why? I'll tell you later on. But let's see the second option, which is change data store. I can't do change data store. Why? Let me go ahead and do it next. It is already living in this data store only. In data store 1 only it's living. How could you prove? You could see here it's in the data store 1, right? Now when I say migrate, I'll be able to migrate only to that place. I say change data store. It says next. When I say next here, I'll be able to go ahead and move to the same place. So what am I doing basically? If I have a folder here, I say that I have a folder here with the name called test. Now, if I go ahead and see where is this test folder, the test folder is in C:users Pradeep desktop. Now, what am I trying to do? I'm trying to cut this from here, and then I'm going ahead and pasting it here. What is the point of it? If you go ahead and see, it will be in the same place. No doubt about it. That is what I'm trying to do when I'm performing an option called something like change data store. So if I have to avoid this change data store, or if I have to perform this data store, what should I do? I should have another data store here. I should have another data store. So how can I bring another data store? So simple. On this diagram, if you see that there is a switch, right? In this switch, I'm going to go ahead and connect a storage server like EMC or NetApp, or I can go ahead and say Dell, like many storage companies are there, right? So I'm going to go ahead and connect a storage server. So generally, what does a storage server provides? Storage server provides LUNs for us, which is nothing but logical unit number. It is a raw disk which will be provided. So now I'm going here and saying that I'm going to connect a storage server on this. If it is a storage server, obviously that guy will also have an IP, right? 10.0.0.100 like that. So what is it? It is a storage server. Now there are two LUNs in it. For an example, I'm saying, let's go ahead and ping it. CMD ping 10.0.10.100. Of course, I'm getting reply. My storage server is also connected with the switch, is what the meaning is, right? So I'm going in and saying that I'm going to use one LUN for this particular host like that. Already there is a data store. Another data store is going to come like that. So to bring it, what am I doing? I'm selecting the host. I'm going to the option called configuration, and I'm going here and clicking on the storage adapter. I'm adding adapter, right? Storage adapter is what I'm adding. Now on that storage adapter, I'm going here and giving the IP of my storage server, which is nothing but 10.0.0.100. When my ESXi box goes ahead and knocks this IP 10.0.0.100 on the port number 3260, it will give you storage. Who? The storage server will give you a LUN to him. To whom? To this first host. Right now, when I come here, as I said, if you see here, my storage server got connected. Connected target is 1. There are 2 LUNs inside it is what is showing. So when I go to the storage, as of now, I could find only one data store. Now I'm going to go ahead and say add another data store here. So there are 2 LUNs. I'm using one LUN for it. And I'm saying I want to format the LUN, and it is a storage LUN. And says next, next, finish. Now, when it is in progress, it is in progress right now. When it is complete, I'll be able to see 2 storages inside it. So the first host will have 2 storage once the format is done. Here we see that storage LUN is there. Right? Now what am I going to do in the sense, I'm just going to go ahead and format is done. Now let us go ahead and try, right click on the VM, and then I'm saying migrate. When I say migrate, I can go ahead and do change data store. Now I get the option to go ahead and choose the data store. Already it is living in the data store 1. Now I can go ahead and say move to the second storage, and then says next, and then finish. As of now, the VM shows as data store 1. Now it got changed to storage LUN. Now if I click on this host, and if I see the data store by clicking on the browse data store, the test is not there. But if I go to the second one, that is the storage LUN, and we see, I could see the test has come here. So now who have access to the storage LUN? Only the first box, not the second box, not the third box. That is my third ESXi. None of these guys have access. Now what if I go ahead and tell to the second guy also configuration, and then I'm saying storage adapter, I'm adding you an adapter like that. Now on this, I'm going ahead and saying properties, and I'm going ahead and saying dynamic discovery, and I'm saying 10.0.0.100. Same thing what I did with the first host, I'm doing it. But here the cache is, I don't need to format the LUN again here because it's been formatted in a language which he can understand. So when I go to the storage, I'll be able to see it will get automatically added. Right? So the same process I'm doing it for the third host, and then I'm going in and saying configuration, storage adapter. I'm adding the storage adapter here. And to the third host also I'm giving what in the sense, I'm going in and giving the storage LUNs details. 10.0.0.100. I'm giving the storage server's IP here. And says close, and then go ahead search it. Here you will find 122, and it is getting added to the third host as well. So all the 3 hosts are going to get access to the storage LUN. The second got access already. Third is also getting the access, right? Right. So now you see here that I can easily go ahead and do what, in the sense, when I right click and then says right click and migrate and change host is something possible. Why? All the three has access to the storage LUN, which means the VM which was there here, now the VM's container has gone. Every time when we create a VM, you know that if I'm creating a VM here, that VM will have a folder. And if I create a VM in blue, I will have a folder like that here. Right now, if I have a VM here, the violet one, then I will have a folder here, right? Now, this folder is not here. However, the VM is mapped to the first host. The folder is here. Now, when this data store is accessible by this, and this, all the three guys, I can go ahead and say change host to anyone. 1, 2, 3. Let's go ahead and see here. I say here, right click and then migrate. When I say change host and then says next, and I can go ahead and say first one, it will say validation successful because that is where it is. Second host, it says validation success. And then third host, it says validation succeeded. Why? Because it is not moving the container, only the registry name is getting changed. When the VM is working from this host, this particular ESXi box is responsible to give compute, network, memory, and these three. That is, compute is nothing but microprocessor power, then it has to give the memory, and then it has to give the network. Storage, again, it doesn't need to worry because it is already there in the storage server, not on its personal storage. And second host, that also has its storage, but this VM is running from the storage server. No, it is running from the personal storage of the particular host. So this one is running from right now from the common one. When I click on this, you will be able to see it is running from the common storage. That is nothing but the storage there. So three guys are there and they are common. Now, whatever the option which I performed right now, all these options are when the VM was powered off. The VM is not powered on. You could see these VMs are not powered on at all. Right now, let's go ahead and say I want to move this VM, test VM, by telling that I want to go ahead and migrate it back to the first host. As you know, the first VM alone is living where, in the sense, in the storage LUN. The second host VM, the VM which is there in the second host, is there on the personal storage, and the third VM which is there on the third host is also living in the third host personal data store. Right? Let's go ahead and say now I want to power on this VM, and then I want to go ahead and it's powered on right now. You could see there is a green button next to it. Now, if I try to migrate, it will be grayed out. The features are grayed out. I can't do change host or change both host and data store. Only thing what I can perform is only change data store is what I can perform. So here, what I can go ahead and do, in a sense, I can go ahead and say that I want to go ahead and change data store. That's the only option which I can perform. Either to this or this. This is what I can play. I cannot go ahead and do anything. But if I decide that I want the VM to be moved from one host to another host, when it is powered on, then I have to go ahead and select this particular host and go to the configuration. And on the configuration, I have an option called networking. In it, in this, that is the management network. There will be something called management network, and there will be IP. For that particular properties, I have to enable a feature which is called as in the management network Vmotion, like that. I have to select the option called Vmotion. Now I have selected the Vmotion and it says close. Now if I try to right click and migrate the VM, the first option will be available, but I cannot send it to anyone. I won't be able to send it to the second host or to the third host. Why? because those two hosts are not in a position to receive a powered on VM. So I'm going to the second host. There also I'm going to go ahead and enable the Vmotion. And I'm going to go ahead and say right now, right click and then migrate and then change host. I want to do it to the third host. I can't do it because third host is disabled. But to second host, it says validation succeeded. I says next and then says high priority. Do it immediately and then says finish. You could see the VM will jump, migrating the active state of the virtual machine from one host to the another host. It is running right now and people could be accessing even. Still, the VM will go ahead and migrate from one host to another host. So when it comes to the company called VMware, they have two types of Vmotion. What are they? One they call it as hot, another one is called as cold migration. What is hot migration? Moving of a VM when it is powered on is called as a hot migration. What is cold migration? Moving of a VM when it is powered off is called as a cold migration. Now what I did in the sense, I made all the three hosts to be equal, which means I have enabled the Vmotion for the third host as well. Now I right click here and says migrate to the third host. It will say validation succeeded. See, I can go ahead and say migrate. So now the VM which is running on the second host has jumped to the third host immediately without any hesitation. But these two VMs, when I right click and power on the exam, I won't be able to go ahead and right click and then do a migration. That is a change host I cannot perform. Why? Because this particular VM is as of now residing on the personal storage. So I right click and says migrate, you will be able to find the error. I says change host and says next and then say second host. That is where it is living, right? So first host, it says I cannot go. And how about the third? I can't go. Now what should I do? A simple concept. I have to say change data store and then push this VM to the common storage, which is accessible by all the three hosts. So when it is powered on, I've just moved the actual folder, that is the folder to the personal, from the personal to the common storage. Now this VM also can be migrated from the second host. It is living in the second host, right? I can do it to the first host or to the third host. Let's move to the first host right now and says next and then says next and then says finish. Now what happened? The VM got migrated from the second host. It's going to the first host right now. Yep, it's been migrated. You could see, right? Now you could see there is one thing. I want to go ahead and show you the exam, that is the VM which is there on the first host, or maybe I'll go ahead and turn on the third host. There is a VM called check in the third host, right? I'm going in and powering it on. You know for sure this VM is living in the personal storage of the third host. So I says right click and then says migrate. I cannot perform the change host, you know for sure. I can't do it to the first host or to the second host. Because it is there in the third host, it will show validation succeeded. As you know, a while ago we experienced a similar kind of situation where I did the change data store and then I did the change host. Now, but for this particular VM, I don't want to do the change data store. I want to perform in one single, touch. I want to go and do change both host and data store. But it is grayed out. Why? Generally, when you enable the Vmotion, it will take near about 30 to 40 minutes for the Vcenter to understand that Vmotion has been enabled like that. That's the reason it's grayed out. However, I can go and perform the same action in a browser. So the Vcenter Server can be managed using a browser. It is not that you have to have the Vsphere client installed like the way we have done. Chrome is taking this long to power on. Right, let's use the Firefox itself. So I'm going ahead and saying https://10.0.55.50 colon 9443, like that. If I use the port number, it will go ahead and open the Vsphere client. It will go and open on a Vsphere web client. This is one page. It will go to Chrome, colon / 10.0.55.50 colon 9443. Advanced process storage unsafe. It's blocked. Hello. Now I got the Vsphere web client. Using a browser itself, I can go and perform this. So here I'm going ahead and saying the root and then the password. And I'll be able to see my Vcenter server on my web client. So here I'll be able to see all my virtual machines. When I go ahead and click on the host and cluster, I could see Chennai DC. Inside that I have 3 hosts. Each of the host has VMs, which we are able to see. You remember check is the VM which was creating problem for us, where when we were performing here, because it is living in the personal storage, when I right click and says migrate, and then when I go ahead and say, I don't see the third option. But if I see in the web client, it immediately understands that we have enabled the Vmotion. So when I right click and says migrate, I will be able to see all the 3 options available here. See, so I'm saying change host and data store, says next, and it says change the host to the first VM and data store to the common storage, that is to the storage dump, and says next, and then says reserve, and then do it right away. I says finish. So you will be able to see the VM migrating from here. If I go to my Vsphere normal client also, I'll be able to performance at the bottom. I'll be able to see the performance at the bottom. So now the check has gone to the first host along with the storage dump. So through this, or maybe I would say during this process of migrating the VM from one host to another, it was using a particular port number to do all these transactions. That particular port number is called as 8000, port number 8000, which means each of the host ESXi will open the port number 8000, and then it will allow the VMs to come through that particular port. So there is a port number which is allocated, and the protocol what it's used is called as TCP. How do you find it? You select one host and go to the configuration. On that, if you find the security profile, if you scroll down a bit, for Vmotion, what is that it is using, you'll be able to find. So for Vmotion, it is using the port number 8000. TCP is the protocol which it's using. So here I would like to underline and show you guys. So Vmotion, it's going to use the port number 8000. So clear with this? It is just a kind of information which I want to pass it on to know about like how the Vmotion happens, because you know one of our group guy asked a question like I don't know how the Vmotion works like that. So that's why I just put some effort to explain you guys. But I don't know whether that guy joined or not like that. He was there for some time. After that he was not there, I guess. So this is just to explain you about like how the Vmotion works, and what is a Vmotion in fact, and what happens if you are going in and migrating a VM when it is in powered on state like that. I would like to go and do it a little more deeper, but as the time is like not the correct time for us, it's a midnight, and where most of us were not ready to go ahead and join. That's the reason. When we started, we had near about 9 to 10 people, and now it has become near about only 2. That's the reason. So don't mind, I'll take another class, and then probably once again I'll try to explain you about it. So it is integrated into Vcenter. This comes as a standalone product, which you're talking about. Are you talking about the Vcenter? Vcenter is also a free download. However, you have to purchase separate license for it. Without license, you won't be able to run it. Vmotion is a process which you can do it only on a Vcenter server. Without a Vcenter server, you won't be able to do it. So license, of course, you should have license for the Vcenter server, and at the same time, you should have a product which needs to be downloaded. Only then you will be able to go ahead and do it. So downloading a Vcenter server is not a big deal, or downloading a Vsphere client is not a big deal. Why? If you take the browser and then if you go and type in the IP of the ESXi, let's say https://10.0.55.1, which is one of our ESXi's IP, right? So if I go and give this IP advanced and then says process it's unsafe, to download the Vsphere client, you can go here. To download the Vcenter server, you can find it just below that. So the Vsphere client which I had was this one. Then the Vcenter server, which I had downloaded and then configured, that is from here. So play with it. Any questions, you let me know. No, Vmotion is not a separate license. However, I would say yes, of course, there is a license for it. How there is a license? Not that all the license can go over and support the Vmotion for you, because there are some license which doesn't support Vmotion. So let us say that if I'm going in and choosing a license like now you see here Vsphere editor like that, these are the license which we have. And if we go for a license of Vsphere Advanced, that is when you will have the Vmotion option. So there are licenses like Vsphere Essential, Vsphere Essential Plus, Vsphere Standard, and then Vsphere Advanced. So the license Advanced gives you the Vmotion, and after that you have Vsphere Enterprise, and then you have something called Vsphere Enterprise Plus. Those two will have the Vmotion, and what we did, storage Vmotion, we migrated the folder, right, of the VM alone, that is the data store to data store migration. To have that, you should have the Vsphere Enterprise. So only then you will be able to do the storage Vmotion. And for Vmotion, of course, at least you should have the Vsphere standard license. That's when it will support to do that option as such. Hope I gave you a clarity on it if I'm not wrong. So any other questions? Let me know. You have typed in something. Okay, got it. Thanks. All right, so it's already 1:15. I don't want to take much of your time. So would like to end it here, and we'll catch it up next time when we have a session. So thank you so much for your time, guys. Any other questions you have? Any questions from anyone?